Hello, thanks so much for joining us here on Sounds Like Home. This is our 6th installment of our virtual festival showcasing Minnesota music. It's been a great way to stay connected with artists throughout the state of Minnesota, find out what they're up to during the pandemic and quarantine, and hear some great new music. And right now I'm going to be connecting with one of the bands that was chosen as a pick-to-click band, the final ever pick-to-click poll in City Pages in the fall, Bugsy. Hello, Bugsy. How are you doing today?
Hello.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. How are you doing?
You look very cozy.
Yeah. It's on the floor.
In the floor of Shannon's room, you might see a cat or two wander these halls.
I
hope so.
There might be a cat in the background now. Who knows?
They're skittish.
It's a very cat-heavy interview today. My cat here, Birdie, is going to hang out too. So.
Oh, I can see them.
Well, before we get into the music, I would love to have you all just introduce yourselves to the audience.
Hello, I'm Emily. I use she, they pronouns, and I sing and play guitar.
Yeah. My name is Alex. I use he, him pronouns. I play the drums sometimes.
Most of the time. I'm Griffen. I use he, him pronouns, and I play the guitar.
And I am Shannon. I use they, them pronouns, and I play bass and sing harmonies.
Awesome. Well, we're going to start with a song and then we'll chat a little bit more. I'm really excited to find out how you all got together and learn more about Bugsy. But you're going to start with the song Capo 3. So is there anything you want to tell us about this before we get into it?
I guess, I don't know, it's off our first EP. Thank you so much for having us. This is super cool. I appreciate it a lot.
For sure. I'm excited that you're here. Well, let's listen to some music and then we'll talk more to Bugsy here on Sounds Like Home.
Hey,
If you're just joining us, this is Sounds Like Home, and we're listening right now to Bugsy. That was the song Capo 3 off their debut EP, Teratoma. I'm chatting right now with all of the members of the band, Emily, Griffen, Shannon, and Alex. And I would love to hear more about how you have all got together and a little bit about the history of the band.
So it's kind of like Frankenstein. We've like said before, it's like Frankenstein's monster band, like a little bit. Like it's like I wrote some songs and I was like looking for bandmates, and I found Shannon like on Facebook. I found Alex because we had played music together in a project before, and Griffen and I were lab partners in science class. Yeah, and we kind of got together, and it just like clicked really well. It was super, super cool.
Very nice.
It was also funny because we were in a band with Alex before Griffen or I never met Alex, because Alex lived in Chicago at the time. And we were like, so for a while it was just like,
He was this mystery person.
he was this mystery person that only Emily knew and spoke very highly of.
Yeah.
And then like the first, and like, so when you practice the first like set of Bugsy songs, it would sound like very like more like, I don't know, it's just like, it's funny thinking about us playing the songs without drums, and then Alex came in and had his like notebook full of songs and was like, I'm ready to go. And then
we just did it.
we just did it.
It was nice.
Cat appearance.
This is true. And the date was February 19th. Don't ask me how I know that date, but that was the first day we all practiced
Is that
together.
like 3 years ago or 2
2
years
years
ago?
ago.
19.
Jesus. Time.
What is time right now?
Yeah.
True.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
that's-
you formed in February 2019, and then by fall of 2020, you were one of the pick-to-click bands, getting some buzz around town. You'd put out your first EP. I mean, it must just be such an unusual time to start building up momentum and then have this pandemic hit and have all of your shows canceled. What has this experience been like for you?
Pretty, on one hand, it's like, it's really sad, but on the other hand, it's like, if you think about it being sad too much, then you're not gonna like do anything or get anything done. So I think kind of the attitude is like, it was not safe for us to see each other for a while, but now like me and Alex live together, and you know, I'm just grateful that we're able to see each other and play music in a safe way, because that's ultimately the most important thing to me. But I would also be lying if I said that I wasn't really sad about all the gig opportunities.
I think it's like really surreal because like we've all been like musicians for many years, you know, and like as like somebody who has been like trying to do this for a long time, like actually like getting somewhere in this time period is so strange, you know. It's like something I used to think about a lot, and it's just completely different than how I always thought it was going to be. You know?
What also just like doesn't feel real, because you don't feel like energy with like an audience or anything. Like it just is all like on a screen, which is definitely cool, but it's
still,
definitely hard to like, I don't know,
it's still,
see that as real and not just like computer land stuff.
it's still very
Right.
cool. Though.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, has that changed your relationship with your own music? I mean, to not have to really worry about kind of the, you know, these ideas that you had about what success might look like. I wonder if it's changed your dynamic as a band or how you approach even making your songs.
I think, you know, we've gotten a chance to just like, because there's no shows, really like grind and be more specific with our like songwriting. And at least for me personally, I feel like there's less of a pressure of doing things based on what I think will do well, simply because there's no one like publicly to like do well for. So it's easier to just kind of like do what I want to / need to do. That sounds really corny, but I also know other people have experienced that. So,
Well, it's also interesting because it's like when you're playing shows, like in a way, it's like a show is a practice. So it's like when you're practicing for shows and like you have like a goal of that show, but sometimes those goals are very short term. And like now I think due to the fact that like shows can't and should not happen in person, it's easier to just kind of like think about like long term, what are cool plans, and like kind of come back and like be confident that we know what we're doing, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
So it's
totally.
really cool.
Well, I would love to hear more about your future plans and what we can keep an eye out for. Let's listen to some more music and then we'll chat a little bit more, okay? Talk to You is one of the singles that you've released that I love. Can you tell us anything more about this song before you play this one?
I guess that song is kind of just about like when you break up with someone and you know it's the last time you talk to them, so you kind of like give them everything you got and every thought you've ever had, and then you disappear into the void and you never see them again. But like that moment of like the 10 minutes of here's everything I think about you, like that's kind of what it's about.
Snapshot.
A snapshot of a 10-minute conversation
of history.
Of history.
Nice. Well, this is Bugsy performing here on Sounds Like Home.
I
If you're just tuning in, I'm connected right now with Bugsy, and they've been performing some of their latest material. That was Talk to You, a single that was released this past fall/winter. And I'm chatting right now with all 4 members of the band, Emily, Griffen, Shannon, and Alex. And we were talking a little bit before that performance about looking ahead, and I'm especially trying to stay optimistic and positive about the fact that we will someday get to be together again and go to shows and do all of the great things that we all love to do as music fans in this community. I'm wondering, what are some of your plans and some of your visions for what you'd like to do in the future?
I think long term and there's different ways to answer the question. On one hand, we just released a single called Overwhelming, I think a week or 2 ago. And moving forward, we're gonna we're in the process of working on an album, and I am very excited and very nervous about that. And then there's the obvious, desire to at some point play shows and go on tour and that kind of stuff.
It's also, I guess I don't know what I was going to say besides what you said. Yeah, Overwhelming is coming out. Came out when this comes out. Which is really exciting. I feel like that's a cool leverage point into the unknown.
Yeah. No, Overwhelming is kind of crazy because just at the time that Overwhelming was fresh and new, it was definitely, I was this is the best Bugsy song ever. This song rips. And now there's a lot of other Bugsy songs.
Hidden Bugsy songs. It's so funny because music is so goal oriented. It's you finish this single, you finish this EP, you finish this album, but it's you finish it and you get home and 30 minutes later I'm thinking about what's our next album going to be like, or what's our next EP going to be like, and you kind of think those thoughts before what you created has even gotten a chance to come out. So it's no matter what future plans I would describe, I feel there's always something else in, that's gonna happen next, because that's the nature of just wanting to rock, I guess.
I want to go on tour.
Yeah.
I want to see the ocean again. That's what I think about.
It'll happen when we're 30.
It's just 8 more years of COVID.
8 more years of COVID.
Oh, no.
I have high hopes based on some things that I've been reading. High hopes, hopefully. It sounds like gigs might be realistic fall or winter of this year. So, trying to tentatively be hopeful for that, but also not keep my hopes up. And also, at the end of the day, it's gigs are kind of a reward for something that we all like doing even without gigs. So kind of, I guess, just not planning on anything too solid with the mindset of then you can't be bummed out when shows don't come back at whatever window we assume they'll be back.
Right. I know, it's so hard to predict what's going to happen. Well, I was wondering, in your mind, when you kind of have a fantasy about being back on stage again, what is your dream first venue to play again when there can be shows?
That's a question. Honestly, one place that I would really like to play again, but it'll never happen, is the Row House. Rest in peace. It was a house venue in Como. Wonderful place. Great people who lived there. They were really nice, really fun. Really nice the rowers of Como, the rowers of the U of M single-handedly. The U of M rowing team single-handedly saved Minneapolis DIY.
I think
First Avenue.
First Ave or the main room. We as a band, we're not a band for a long time before COVID hit. So almost all of our shows were house shows, probably with 3 exceptions. Mm-hmm. So just, it'd be cool to play literally anywhere where there's a good sound system.
Yeah. The main room.
I definitely still high key want to play in somebody's dirty ass basement. I like those places.
That sounds pretty good right now, honestly.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for participating in Sounds Like Home. It's been great connecting with you and learning more about the origins of your band and what you've been up to. I'm so glad that you're putting out more music all the time. Definitely keep us in the loop as you have more songs. But thank you so much for taking part in Sounds Like Home.
And
Thank
thank
you
you
for
so much
having
for
us.
having us. This is super
Thank
cool.
you.
And I'm really appreciative that this kind of thing is able to exist when music stuff is so uncertain and up in the air. So thank you so much. It's super cool.
Thanks for tuning in to Sounds Like Home, a virtual festival celebrating Minnesota music. Sounds Like Home and the artists performing during the festival is sponsored by Gardner Builders and made possible by Minnesota Legacy Amendment and you. Your support keeps the current strong and makes sure that independent music and the emerging artists featured today always have a home on the Current. All Sounds Like Home sessions will be archived at thecurrent.org because great music lives here.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us for Sounds Like Home. This is our 6th installment of this celebration of Minnesota music. It's a virtual festival, and it's a great way to connect with musicians who are still putting out music, even though we cannot all be together. And it's so fun to find out what everyone's been up to. So right now, I'm going to be connecting with Kid Dakota, and I am so excited to talk to Darren because it has been a little while since there's been new Kid Dakota music. He's going to play some new songs for us, and then we're going to chat and find out what he's been up to lately. Hey, Darren, how's it going?
Great, Andrea. How are you?
I'm doing well, as well as can be in this very strange time that we're all living through. But you look great. Your house looks great. I'm really excited to find out what you've been doing. So you just released a new album at the very end of 2020. We're going to talk a lot about that today, Age of Roaches. And the first song is the title track. So to get us going, is there anything you want to tell us specifically about that song?
Well, that song has been kicking around for a while. I think we played that as early as 2005 when we were touring with Low in Europe. We played that a lot. And so it's taken a while to find the sort of perfect realization of that song, but I think I got as close as I could. So I'm glad it's, finally done.
Wow. I had no idea it was that long in the works. That's so cool that it's finally out and available for everyone to have. So we'll start with the performance and then we'll chat a little bit more. This is Kid Dakota performing on Sounds Like Home.
What do you think they did with all the Minuteman missiles? Did they come take them at night when we all were asleep? Who's gonna get rid of all this Canadian thistle? Who's gonna make sure the prairie is free of the weeds? Up above the plains are dropping chemicals to stop the growing. Down below the roots are fighting to survive. They're colonizing. What do you think we need so many Minuteman missiles? Why did they bury them deep in the heart of the land? Will the letters ever reach the elected officials? There isn't much we can do, but we do what we can. Sweep the atmosphere with radar, destroy all the space invaders, blow them up over the ocean, usher in the age of roaches. Hide inside the tiny shelter, eat the sardines and the peaches.
Hey, if you're just joining us, this is Sounds Like Home, the current celebration of Minnesota music. I'm Andrea Swensson, host of the local show, and that was Kid Dakota performing the new title track on the album Age of Roaches. It's not a new song, though, as Darren just told us. It's actually been in the works for, what is that, 16 years of percolating on the Age of Roaches?
Yeah, 16 years.
Wow. So I'm so glad that you brought up Low and the fact that you toured together back then, because I noticed on your Bandcamp page for this record that you have a quote from Alan Sparhawk of Low talking about how much he enjoys this new batch of songs. And I've always sensed a kind of kindred spirit musically between the two of you and the way that you approach songs. Can you talk just a little bit about your experience with Low, and do you feel that as well, kind of a commonality there?
Yeah, I definitely do. Alan and Lowe have always been an inspiration for me as a songwriter. I remember first seeing them in the Entry, I think in 1996, it might have been. So they have been a very consistent part of my life for a long time. And when I first made the EP So Pretty, Christopher McGuire, who was the drummer at the time, gave it to Zach Sally, and Zach Sally liked it, so he shared it with Alan and Mimi, and then they had their label Chair Kickers Music Union at the time, and so they decided that they wanted to release the album as a full length, so we added a few more songs to it, and then they released that record and actually the second record. So, we've had a long sort of consistent involvement with them. And I think stylistically there's similarities because we both really appreciate minimalism, which I think is a result of, growing up in the frigid northern country. I think that landscape lends itself to that kind of stark music. And I think we share that.
Well, let's hear another song, and then I'd love to chat with you some more about this new record, Age of Roaches. So the next song that you chose to play is 2 Days. Is there anything you want us to know about this one?
2 Days is also a song that's been around for a little while. I always had it in my mind that this song would be on the same record as Age of Roaches. And what happened was just that around song number 5 or 6, the album just kind of got stalled and no songs came that sort of fit that vibe. And so that's why the album sat for so long. I think I put out 2 albums in the meantime, maybe 3 albums in the meantime. So 2 Days is one of the songs that, presented itself early on. And I actually, when I first recorded it, as a demo, it was very major. It had this finger picking acoustic guitar part, and it was very kind of upbeat until the outro. And then I decided to do an alternative version that was sort of much darker and more spacious. And then that's when I really realized this definitely has to go with that Age of Roaches song on the Age of Roaches album. So.
I love that. It's like you're waiting for them to find their friends.
I know. Yes.
Well, if you're just joining us, I'm talking right now to Darren Jackson of Kid Dakota. We're going to listen to another performance of a song, and then we'll talk a little bit more here on Sounds Like Home.
2 days and I wake up. Yeah, I've been doing my assignments. Yeah, I've been pissing in a cup. Leaving, well, I am halfway housebound. Well, I've been open, I've been honest. When there's no one else around, they say that I'm compliant, oh, but I tend to disagree. Well, they say that I'm defiant, say that the chemicals will get the best of me. I've been feeling pretty shut up. Yeah, I've been feeling ill at ease. Leaving a normal meditations. Yeah, I'll take normal medications. I'm counselor and doctor free. Well, they say that I'm compliant, oh, but I tend to disagree. Well, they say that I'm defiant, say that the chemicals will get the best of me. La-di-da. Oh, la-di-da. La-di-da.
You're tuned in to Sounds Like Home right now. This is the current showcase of Minnesota music, and that was Kid Dakota performing the song 2 Days from the new album Age of Roaches. And I'm chatting right now with Darren of Kid Dakota. Darren, I would love to hear more about putting this album together. So you've been talking about how some of these songs have been around for a while, and you've kind of waited to assemble them into a collection. And the whole collection to me feels very cohesive, including the cover. And for those who haven't seen it yet, can you kind of describe the cover art for this album? It's very striking and it feels very 2020 to me.
Well, actually, when I was teaching in South Dakota, I found myself, I was teaching 4 days a week, and I, found that I had some time on my hands, and I had always wanted to do collage, but I had never done it. And so finally I was just like, you know what, I'm going to start doing collage. Why not? Nobody's stopping me, and I have this free time. And so I just threw myself into making collage wholeheartedly. I wasn't working on music a lot at the time. And I don't know, I made about 30 or 40 collages, and I got really invested in it. And one of the collages that I made, I actually ended up using for the cover. And it's a room, the background is, of a medieval like cathedral or mansion or something. And then I cut out 2 people in hazmat suits, and one of them is sort of blocking off everything, so you can't see the person's face, you only see their back. And then in the distance, there's another person with a little hazmat suit on, looking at something or operating some instrument, checking for, pandemic exposure or whatever, coronavirus. And so I made that collage before, the pandemic hit. And then when it came to decide what kind of art I was going to use, I knew I wanted to use my own art. And then I stumbled upon this collage I made, and I'm like, well, this seems to be perfect. So that's how that ended up being on the cover. And after I really threw myself into collage, I was finally I was actually thinking about maybe I should go to grad school for visual arts, And then I thought, wait a minute, you're a musician? You should just finish your record, okay, and start focusing on playing music again. So that actually really got me excited about, working on music again. And then I was able to finish my album that I've been working on for 16 years in the matter of a few months. So my advice is, if you're stuck in one artistic medium, try another one. Something great might happen.
Oh, I love that. Wow.
Yeah,
well,
you like to have
congrats.
advice on this show, right?
I love advice. I especially love creative advice and advice about not being stuck, because I find myself stuck all the time. Yeah. Well, big congrats on putting this album out. I'm curious, what has the process been like for you of releasing music in a pandemic?
That is a good question. Well, obviously there's no shows really. I have been doing a few shows as Darren Jackson, which has nothing to do with Kid Dakota. But there have been no Kid Dakota shows for, I can't even remember when the last one was. So strangely enough, though, my label says that people are buying a lot of albums during the pandemic. And I think that's probably a result of being stuck in your house, and what are you going to do? Well, you're going to expand your record collection, and then B, having the disposable income that the government provided earlier in the year. So, those were great for independent artists, I think, sort of made up for the fact that no one could tour or play shows, But I'm definitely looking forward to a time when we can, start playing again. Whenever that may be.
Yeah. Where do you think you would want to play your first Kid Dakota show, and however many years it's been?
Oh, geez. I would say either Ice House or the Turf Club are probably my 2 favorite places. Not to favor St. Paul or Minneapolis, so pick one from each, but yeah, both of those venues I love playing at.
Nice. Well, I'll be there whenever it is. I'll be there. I can't wait.
Excellent. Excellent.
Well, thanks so much for joining us for Sounds Like Home and for having these great performances and especially for releasing this great album. I've been listening to it a lot. It's great for the dead of winter in a cold snap. There's something about it. It just hits just right. So I really appreciate that. You're going to have one more song for us here, Firstborn Son. To close with, do you want us to know anything about this one?
Well, this song is going to be on my next album, which is tentatively titled MICD, which stands for, if you don't know, mentally ill, chemically dependent. This is also kind of an old song that I recently just finished. I have a tendency to let songs sit around until I find what I feel is the perfect sort of part to finish them. And sometimes it can take a long time, but I feel like forcing a song in a direction is really does a disservice to a song. So I'm excited that this song finally found the parts it needed, though.
Nice. Well, definitely keep in touch. Let us know when you have more music coming out. It's been so great to talk to you. Thanks for participating in Sounds Like Home.
Yeah, thank you, Andrea. It's been a pleasure to be here.
Good. Well, this is Kid Dakota performing for us on Sounds Like Home.
Everyone's ashamed of what I have become. Everyone's ashamed of what I have become. They say that I'm to blame. I'm a disappointed mother's firstborn son. Total wreck if left unchecked. A deviant who should repent for words and deeds and film and print. For accidents, for embarrassments, for final straws and last hurrahs, for swerving over median. She said, love you, son. Your glassy eyes, your iron lung. I love you, son. Your filthy friends, the drugs you've done. I love you, son. I love everything that you have become. Oh, that you become. Doing what the others do, I'm trying to assimilate. Loving what the others love, I'm trying to appreciate. If I take my medication, I can get to work on time. Oh dear mother, please forgive me, forget all my petty crimes. Everyone's ashamed of what I have become. Everyone's ashamed of what I have become. They say that I'm to blame. I'm a disappointed mother's firstborn son. Firstborn son. Firstborn son. First to run, first to fall, first to break, and the first to call. With the news that I had failed, and would you please bail me out of jail? Firstborn son, firstborn son, firstborn son, firstborn son, the one firstborn.
Thanks for tuning in to Sounds Like Home, a virtual festival celebrating Minnesota music. Sounds Like Home and the artists performing during the festival is sponsored by Gardner Builders and made possible by Minnesota Legacy Amendment and you. Your support keeps the current strong and makes sure that independent music and the emerging artists featured today always have a home on the Current. All Sounds Like Home sessions will be archived at thecurrent.org because great music lives here.
Hello, I'm Andrea Swensson. That's Colombo. You're tuned into Sounds Like Home right now. This is the Current's virtual showcase of Minnesota music. This is our 6th installment. It's been such a wonderful way to connect with artists and stay up to date on what's going on in the scene. And today I'm connecting with 2 longtime artists from the Twin Cities, John Munson and Dylan Hicks, to talk about their new project, Munson-Hicks Party Supplies. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's cool that you have a Trip Shakespeare poster behind you, too.
That was
I may have planned out.
I was going to say, you put that up like 5 minutes before we were meeting, right? That's awesome.
It's always up, but I don't usually face this way. Well, I am so excited to talk to you about this new project. It came out in the fall. There's lots to get into with not just this collaboration between the two of you, but also what it's been like to release an album during a pandemic. So I'm sure we'll talk about that. But let's start with a performance, and then we'll chat some more. So you wanted to start with the song Only Smoke, and this is the kind of lead single off the record. Is there anything that we should know in particular about this song before we hear it?
Well, this is one of 2 songs that was originally written for this musical that John and I had collaborated on. And so it was originally written for characters for this show. Maybe we'll touch on that later. But it was pretty autonomous, it didn't really drive the plot of the show, so it seemed to stand alone pretty well. And the only thing else I'll say is that you should check out Jennifer Davis and Joshua Sunby's video for the show. For the song, rather, they really transformed it in an interesting way. So,
yeah, really a beautiful work of art by them. very surprising. And when Dylan says that we collaborated on a musical, I think that I had to clarify that I said, wouldn't it be fun to work on a musical? And then like a week later, Dylan like had a whole script and like 10 songs. It was like, in a way, it felt like he'd been waiting his whole life for somebody to say that to him. And he just produced it just like magically. It was kind of unbelievable. And I was like, I'm plainly just going to do everything I can to facilitate Dylan's genius. That's been kind of my role in our relationship. Just get out of the way is kind of how it goes.
I love that. Well, we're definitely going to talk more about this musical in just a minute. So we'll listen to Only Smoke. This is Munson-Hicks Party Supplies here on Sounds Like Home.
2. Hey, it's all right, brother. It happens to the very best. Sheena Easton to Hetty West. Everybody fails the test. Yeah, you know the words, you just don't know where they're at. The paint's sharp, the notes are flat. You owe $1 when they pass the hat. Yeah, I've been there, that's why I'm here. Wearing tie-dye instead of cashmere. The eternal volunteer. Every chance I get, I choke. Ain't no fire, only smoke. I can see my little knees shaking on the wooden chair. My father couldn't be there. The teacher had gray hair. My growth that year, they said, was truly exponential. And they spoke of my potential. It was even presidential. Somewhere my pace began to slow. On the road from Judy Blume to Michelle Foucault. What I didn't know then, I still don't know. Not every acorn leaves an oak. Ain't no fire, only smoke. I sang for my supper and lost half my lunch. I was the townsy's favorite son. So if everything doesn't just fall in your lap, you may have heard you're not the only one. Well, hope's that thing with feathers, even with ostrich wings. There's another side of things, a granny knot on the second string. Well, life is not a contest, it sure ain't a fair fight. There'll be some short sticks and long nights, in or out of the spotlight. Overcook your dinner in a pan, and the grease will spatter on your hand. You open up a window and you turn on the fan. Later on, you let those dishes soak. Ain't no fire, only smoke. Ashes to ashes, first cried to last croak. There ain't no fire, only smoke.
All right. Should I wait to...
Do we have to sit here for the whole duration?
In silence.
It'll be like a screen in screen of you just sitting awkwardly waiting for yourself to finish performing. Okay. If you're just joining us, this is Sounds Like Home. I'm Andrea Swensson, connected right now with John Munson and Dylan Hicks to talk about their new project, Munson-Hicks Party Supplies. We just heard the song Only Smoke. And right before that performance, you guys were both talking about the fact that you were originally thinking about making a musical together. And if I'm getting the story right, it was going to be a musical set in the 90s Minnesota music scene. Is that correct?
Well, so it was set in the 90s, yes. It was sort of in our world, but it's a different world where there is a British monarchy, but it's not the same royal family. And so the young and disaffected heir apparent to the British throne goes incognito, leaves the United Kingdom, settles in Minneapolis, and forms a rock band.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's what happens in
it seems like you're enthusiastic. If you wanted to sort of express that enthusiasm with, say, $250,000 to help really fund the show, that would be a motivating force. But we did some pretty good work toward it, and I admit I got a little burned out. There's that challenge of a musical does require some outside funding, but I just found that I was a little stuck creatively. But I really liked a lot of the songs that we put together for it. And a lot of the songs that I contributed, John had sung. And I really loved how that felt because, as you know from your poster as evidence, John is a great singer and a great interpretive singer. I always write in character, even when I'm not writing a show. Even if I'm writing autobiographically, I kind of think it's a distorted version of myself. So I liked that extra step of remove, hearing John sing. And, he has a different voice, a more powerful voice than I do. And I just really... So eventually that kind of morphed into this idea, why don't we take a few of these songs and I'll write some more songs and we'll make a record of my tunes, but with John mostly singing.
And this was all the while, we had... we have an affection for, Nilsson Sings Newman and things like that. We had some records like that kind of laying around in the studio. That I'm a big fan of that record, and as a matter of fact, and that kind of guided us towards this project a little bit too. Plus, to be honest, we'd made the Ad Out record together that I produced, and Dylan is just a lot of fun to work with. And I think he enjoyed working with me too. So we were just kind of looking for a way, to have another thing to do together. And this gave us a project to do together. And that's a big part of doing music is when you can find a collaborator and a person that you just enjoy being with and doing art and music with. That's a person that you want to have in your life and stick by. So that was really a powerful motivator towards doing the project too, at least for me.
Yeah. And also just working together on something we knew we could finish on our own too, which is why I'm really glad that we sort of mutated that project a bit toward this thing, which has been really rewarding.
Munson-Hicks Party Supplies came out in the fall. We're going to listen to another song, and then let's talk a little bit more about, releasing it in the pandemic. I'm very curious to hear what you'll have to say about that. But the next song is The Cliff, Don't Hear the Echo. This is one that Dylan sings. Dylan, how did you choose which songs you wanted to sing lead on?
Well, we did have a few holdovers from the show that John had sung in demo, but most of them were written for this project in 2019. And in general, I tried to write songs that I thought would be good for John and that would be sort of really good for this project. Along the way, I wrote a few songs, usually on acoustic guitar, that just sort of came. And a couple were more country inflected. I guess the logic is, I'm, of the marquee members of the group, I'm the Southerner. I was born in Austin, Texas. It's true. People often point out that my family left before I could form memories. I've only returned once. It was not a triumphant return. We didn't have family or roots there before my birth. However, I think there's a certain authenticity that comes through. You'll hear it. You'll hear it.
Well, listen for that. This is Munson-Hicks Party
subtle.
Supplies performing on Sounds Like Home.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, I could talk in a circle till my voice is hoarse. Tilted tiny windmills on your putt-putt course. Couch the whole thing in a metaphor. Try to spell it out like I did before. The cliff don't hear the echo. The roof don't hear the rain. There ain't no use in saying it again. I'm low on silver, fresh out of gold, and now I need a new intake manifold. I could get down on my old knees to pray, but if there's a God, it don't work that way. The cliff don't hear the echo. The roof don't hear the rain. There ain't no use in saying it again. A Cheechon cracks in a lonely wood. I'd tell you about it if I thought it would do any good. Trouble sticks to me like a burdock bird and pricks me into these critical. I weep in my whiskey, wail in my beer, but even bartenders turn a deaf ear. The cliff don't hear the echo. The roof don't hear the rain. There ain't no use in saying it again. I shout from the window, mumble on Main, extemporize a sermon on a rush-out chain. Once more with feeling from the top, harmonize at the barber shop. The cliff don't hear the echo, no, the roof don't hear the rain. There ain't no use in saying it again. Oh, the cliff don't hear the echo. I mean the roof don't hear the rain. There ain't no use in saying, oh, there ain't no use. There ain't no use in saying it again.
Hey, this is Sounds Like Home. If you're just joining us, that was a performance by Munson-Hicks Party Supplies. You can find it on the self-titled album that just came out last fall. And I'm chatting right now with Dylan Hicks and John Munson about this new collaboration. So I mentioned the record came out in September, and you did a live streaming show from, was it the Parkway Theater? Remind me.
The Hook.
It was the
Hook
and Ladder,
okay.
yeah.
So tell me more about this experience of releasing music right now and then putting together an event in this time when people can't all be in the same room together.
Mm-hmm. John, do you want to start with that?
I have I'm afraid of cameras, essentially. Like even now, I find the experience of seeing myself on the screen very humiliating almost. And so streaming for me is very painful. There's an aspect of it that is the opposite of what I love about performing music, which is I believe that revelations that artists can have with audience occur because of unself-consciousness on the artist's part, or at least for me, that's that's an important component for me. And so the idea of a camera capturing me for kind of any kind of broadcast or anything, or even putting up on a screen at a club or something like that, I find it makes me shrink in the experiences. It's akin to a type of humiliation. Almost. I wish it were not so, but it just is. And so the pandemic has been really difficult, just because performing is like so incredibly central to my identity. It's the way that I think of myself is much more in terms of as a creative artist. It has to do with being on stage in front of people performing unselfconsciously, and being on stage performing for people self-consciously doesn't really work for me. I think all I have to say about that. On the other hand, I was really grateful that we were able to make the record together. I mean, it was so fun to work on, and I was very happy to have a feeling of being productive during this time, because so many other avenues that are important to me have been, foreclosed.
Yeah, and even though we recorded the album before the pandemic, it was nice to kind of get it ready for release during this stage. And I agree with some of what John says. The streams were rewarding as well. We also had the opportunity to play a few outdoor shows over the summer that were more neighborhood affairs. Those were really. We played one in particular that I thought, this was really great. The sun was coming down, but they were all great. And some of the album has some songs that were related to the political situation, so I think we wanted to get it out before the election as well. And sometimes it's just nice to kind of have something out, not too far away from when it was conceived. So it's been a bit of a challenge, but there have been some upsides, and it has been nice to hear from some enthusiastic listeners, over email or otherwise, that kind of heartening while we're not performing for audiences.
Well, it's been such a joy to talk to both of you and to hear this new project that you've been working on. Thank you so much for taking part in Sounds Like Home and chatting with me today. We're going to close with one more song, Damascus. Is there anything you want to leave us with on this one?
Not really. I mean, this was one of the two songs that was repurposed from the show. I think that if the show had gotten a little further, I think a dramaturg would have questioned how these songs related to the plot. Maybe that's why they work really well on this independent record. This is one of those songs that I realized one of the things I'd like to do. I think every musician has devices, and I really love a bluesy minor key verse and a very major key chorus, and this is one of the songs that does that.
That's one of your favorites.
Nice.
Thanks so much for having us on, though. Yeah, you said your dog was named Columbo. So I keep thinking that your dog's going to be like, one more thing. I don't know if you guys know the show.
It's going to pop around, pop around from the couch.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're big into Columbo around here. We give them little chew sticks that look like cigars to chomp on.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyway, thank you both.
Right.
It was really nice to talk to you. And this is another song from Munson-Hicks Party Supplies here on Sounds Like Home.
It was a hot day, round about noon, the city in view. I'd be there soon. I sang along with the band. I was the slob king of the connoisseurs, gently kicking against the spurs. If you knew me back then, you'd understand. But with the Howard Johnson's gateway beckoning ahead, something overcame me. I thought I might be dead. A bright light outshone the sun. I put the visor down. I thought to run. If you knew me back then, you'd understand. You done some bad things, all by choice. An angry, disembodied voice. I cried do 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 into my hands. But with the Howard Johnson's gateway receding out of view, a shout came from the next car, sounded just like you. We were wearing our sunglasses on the road to Damascus. Still we were blind for several days. And if you come right out and ask us on the road to Damascus, I'd say we're ready to believe. Quit my job, I changed my name. I take a long look, honey, I'm not the same. If you knew me back then, you'd understand. I put an old chair in a new room. I wrote the same 6 notes with the nom de plume. They go do 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 along with the band. But with the Howard Johnson's gateway receding out of view, a shout came from the next car, sounded just like you. We were wearing our sunglasses on the road to Damascus. Still we were blind for several days. And if you come right out and ask us on the road to Damascus, I'd say we're likely to believe. Yeah, we were slower than molasses, thrown out on our asses. All our grand plans unachieved. But if you come right out and ask us on the road to Damascus, I'd say we're ready to believe. I'd say we're likely to believe. I'd say we're ready to believe.
Thanks for tuning in to Sounds Like Home, a virtual festival celebrating Minnesota music. Sounds Like Home and the artists performing during the festival is sponsored by Gardner Builders and made possible by Minnesota Legacy Amendment and you. Your support keeps the current strong and makes sure that independent music and the emerging artists featured today always have a home on the Current. All Sounds Like Home sessions will be archived at thecurrent.org because great music lives here.
Hello, thank you so much for tuning in to Sounds Like Home. I'm Andrea Swensson, host of The Local Show. You can find me on The Current Sunday nights from 6 to 8 p.m. And this is our 6th installment of this virtual festival showcasing Minnesota music. It's been a great way to stay connected and find out what artists are up to. And right now we're going to be talking to an artist who just released a new record in January called Threes. Under Violet is the name of the project, and I'm connecting right now to Sarah Bischoff of Under Violet and also Holly Hansen, who produced this beautiful new record, Threes. Hello to both of you.
Hello.
Nice to see your faces.
You too. Thanks for having us.
You too.
So I can't wait to talk about this album. I've been listening to it a lot. It's so gorgeous. And I'm really excited to talk about not just the songwriting, but also the production of it, because I think it's quite remarkable. So Holly, I'm really glad that you're here today to talk about that. But let's start with the performance, and then we'll get into more of the background on the album. So you chose the song Poems to start off with. Is there anything, Sarah, that you want to say about this one?
This is a song, it was the first one that I wrote for this album specifically, and I wrote it out at my cabin in Wisconsin, and it's just kind of a meditation on the power of words, like how words can be both healing and harmful. So.
All right. This is Under Violet performing Poems from the new album Threes. It's here on Sounds Like Home. If you're just tuning in, this is Sounds Like Home, and we're connected right now with Under Violet. We just heard a performance of the song Poems from the new album Threes, and I'm chatting with Sarah from Under Violet and also Holly Hansen, who produced this gorgeous record. So I would love to hear a little bit more, first of all, about, the period that you wrote the songs for Threes, because I'm very impressed by anyone who can create during this very intense time that we're all living through. So tell me about the process of, coming up with these new songs.
Sure. It's kind of interesting, and part of the title Threes is that it ended up being 3 batches, or 9 songs in 3 batches. There's 3 old songs and then 3 kind of, I'm calling cabin songs. And then 3 songs that were brand new that we were finishing in the studio. So yeah, it's kind of how it got its title. And they were written over a period of time in kind of 2018, 2019. And I'm just so glad that we got into the studio and we were able to record them before we couldn't see each other anymore. So yeah, the timing just kind of worked out perfectly.
So it was all actually recorded before the pandemic and shutdown even happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The pandemic essentially interrupted the mixing process. Mm-hmm. So it was that was exactly right when the pandemic hit, we were okay, I guess we have to figure out how to do this not being with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Wow. So I want to know more about working with Holly. What drew you to wanting her to produce the album?
Well, Holly and I have been friends for years, and I just always was a huge fan of her music. Just a ton of respect for her as a songwriter, and she's just a great human. So I approached her, and honestly, when I first started talking to her, I just wanted her to be involved in any way. I was sort of, just talking about the vibe I was thinking about for the album and the collection of songs. And yeah, I just basically said I just wanted her to be involved. And I was very happy that she wanted to be.
So was I.
Well, I want to know more about Holly, what you brought to this album, because I've mentioned I've been listening to it a lot, and there's something so present about the experience of listening to it. I almost feel like I'm in the room with you all as the songs are being recorded, or almost even more personal than being in the room. I almost feel like sometimes I'm in Sarah's head. It's just so intimate and beautiful and lush. And I'm wondering if the two of you can kind of talk a little about the production of it and what are we hearing on these songs? And Holly, how do you approach that?
Well, I know the number one thing I was concerned with before we even started was to protect her vocals. I have been a singer myself, so I think I approach production from a singer a lot of times when it's an actual songwriter song. Even before we started recording, I got the band together. I like to kind of talk as a group to get a situation update. Here's what we're doing here. And the main thing that I wanted to tell the band was that their role was to be a fortress to protect her voice. And that also is my job as a producer. I wanted to make sure Sarah felt like she was in a place where she could access those songs from where she was personally. And I think with producing, your role kind of shifts with every record. And I really feel like on this record, I mostly was just trying to be a song bodyguard. And obviously the players on the record were amazing. Sarah's songs are amazing. Sarah's an incredible singer. So literally all I was trying to do was make sure the song was protected and that Sarah's voice was always the main event. That was essentially my whole approach to it.
Song
and just
I like that.
And I feel just, having been a fan of Holly's music and of her as a songwriter and a person. Like I said, I just knew that we were going into it with kind of this mutual respect and communication, and I just have complete trust in her, and for the reasons she just described, you know. So yeah, I keep joking that she was the spirit guide for the album. I just feel like she kind of kept us all intentional about the songs.
Yeah, and it was such a good group of people. Even like some of the vibe stuff, like it happens on accident. Like what Max Jeremy's kid was in here drawing at one point, just in the control room while they were playing, and like at one point my wife was like crocheting, and there just was like this very like family feeling, I felt like, and I think that really helped, like the way I feel like you can hear that in the way it sounds. And they did record most of it in the room together. And I did a lot of things that from an engineering perspective were kind of like the wrong way to do it, but I wanted it to be the vibe first, in a sense. Not the wrong way, but you know, it made some of the mixing process a little trickier, but I think that the fact that they were all in the room together made a big difference on the way it feels. I'm really happy that we did it that way.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think your space too at Salon is just such a welcoming space. I feel like we all just definitely had that sort of just like good energy from the space and just the way you ran the session.
Well, the new album is Threes. It came out in January. We're going to listen to another song from it, and then we'll chat a little bit more. I want to hear about what you've been up to since finishing this project and anything that might be coming up on the horizon as well. The next song is California Moon. I love this song. I've been playing it on the local show. What can you tell us about writing this one?
So this is actually one of the old songs that I actually wrote this originally for my former band Web of Sunsets, and so there's another version of it with Web of Sunsets, and it's just one that I came back to, and you know, a different time in my life, and it just sort of it resonated in a different way, and I wanted to kind of give it this new this new life with Under Violet. So.
Nice. Back again, California Moon. This Sounds Like Home and Under Violet.
You
Hey, if you're just joining us, this is Sounds Like Home, the Currents virtual festival showcasing Minnesota music, and that was a performance by Under Violet from the new album Threes. That song was California Moon. I'm chatting right now with Sarah Bijoff and Holly Hansen, who produced the record. And I would love to hear more. So I was surprised to hear that this full album was actually finished, pre-pandemic, and you were mixing it at the point that the shutdown happened. I would just love to hear from both of you, what this past now almost year has been like and what you've been up to.
Holly, you want to go first? Yeah, it feels like, wow, a long year. I just feel lucky, like I mentioned before, that we were able to get all the tracking done before we had to kind of go into lockdown in March. And since then, and then we worked on mixing throughout the summer. And since then, I've started to write some new songs. It's been kind of a trip thinking about that was a year ago now. So I'm trying not to say all the things that people say about the quarantine, like feels like 10 years, but I do kind of feel that.
Totally.
How's it been for you, Holly?
Well, it's kind of interesting because making the Under Violet record was kind of my first real big project in this space. And I have since I'm now full-time doing music, like mostly running the studio. And it's like, I don't know why I chose this time to start a new chapter in my life with just a new business, and one that usually relies on being together in a room, but it just ended up unfolding that way. And I feel very grateful that it's working. It's like definitely a dream come true. So it's weird right now, the juxtaposition between literally living my dream and the world being so crazy. It's almost like my brain can hardly process them at the same time. But mostly I'm just trying to make this studio work, and I'm very much enjoying it. That's what I've been up to.
That is big news, opening your own studio and transitioning in that way. Where is the studio located?
It's just over the border of Minneapolis and St. Paul. So it's in St. Paul, like midway pretty much.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Congratulations. That's huge.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
I definitely relate to what you're saying about for both of you and me, it's so hard to process even what to say about the last year. So much has transpired, and I feel like we're just constantly all holding all these multiple truths at once about how to even feel about life. But I don't know. It's been kind of a funny little blessing to do this series, to be able to keep chatting with people. I probably talk to musicians more regularly now than I did before, like to connect almost like on a daily, weekly basis in this way. So just keep trying to think about, there are some positives, and we'll get through it. Things will be different and hopefully soon. Well, I wanted to ask about, as we hopefully close down this year, looking at, the live concerts coming back and maybe things opening up a little bit again. Like, what are the plans for Under Violet, putting out the record in the early part of the year? Are there hopes to perform, and, where would you perform, and what do you want to do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny you asked about that. It's just been in the last few weeks that I've been getting emails about shows, and it's like I have to read it again. I'm like, really? Is this happening again? Like, are we, can we book something? And, it's for a ways out, but it does feel encouraging. Obviously, like, all of us are missing, being able to play live and being in spaces together and just community. And wow, we took it for granted, so it's exciting. So I think we will be booking some shows for later in the year, I hope. And we are talking about doing a belated release party. So yeah, that will be exciting.
I'm just remembering, actually, like the last tracking session was the weekend you were supposed to have a show, and you, Chris, and I ended up down the street. It was like that. It was literally like the day that venues were going, "Are we supposed to have shows tomorrow?"
Mm-hmm.
And it was like this big back and forth. That was like literally like the last day of tracking.
Yeah, we were we were on break down at the Dubliner, and I'm like on the phone with the Parkway and on the phone with Dusty Hart and trying to figure out. I feel like they're kind of looking to me for the decision. I'm just like, what? Like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what's best. And ultimately, we just kind of all got on the phone together and decided we had to do the safest thing. And we were one of the first shows, I think the first show that they had to cancel.
Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah. And
it feels like that all just happened.
Yeah, right? And so to bring full circle, the Parkway is one of the venues that I've been in touch with, like, let's reschedule that show, which feels like so long ago. But that would be really great if we could do that. I love Dusty Hart, and they also played on this record too, so it'd be great to get to finally play that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Sarah and Holly, thank you so much for joining me and chatting. We're going to have another song, so I'll let you take over if there's anything you'd like to say about Waltz. But other than that, thank you both so much for being here and for participating in Sounds Like Home.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. One thing about this song is that it features Molly Dean and Barbara Jean Myers from Dusty Hart, and I just love having... I'm just so glad they were part of this track. I think it really made it what it needed to be.
It is gorgeous. The whole record is gorgeous. Three's out now by Under Violet, and we'll listen to them performing here on Sounds Like Home.
Thanks for tuning in to Sounds Like Home, a virtual festival celebrating Minnesota music. Sounds Like Home and the artists performing during the festival is sponsored by Gardner Builders and made possible by Minnesota Legacy Amendment and you. Your support keeps the current strong and makes sure that independent music and the emerging artists featured today always have a home on the Current. All Sounds Like Home sessions will be archived at thecurrent.org because great music lives here.
Hello, thank you so much for tuning in to Sounds Like Home. This is the Current's virtual festival showcasing Minnesota music. And right now, I am so excited to be virtually connecting with a Minnesota music legend. Cornbread Harris is here. Cornbread, thank you so much for doing this. How are you doing today?
I am doing well.
Good. I'm really glad to hear it. You have been doing all right with the pandemic and everything?
I got the pandemic taken care of 2 vaccine times.
Good. That is very, very good news. We're so happy to hear that. Well, we're going to hear some performances from you today, and then I can't wait to talk to you a little bit more and find out how you've been doing lately. So you're going to start with the song, Never Ending Love Song. This is an original, right? Is there anything that we should know about this one?
Original recording of this has been quite a while ago. And it was something that, like when you sit down trying to write songs, you hit upon a certain formation of melody and you like it and you say, oh, that would make a nice song. So that's what happened with that one. And you want to do it just any old time, or after you're going to piece it together at your own leisure, or should I do it now?
Oh, no, we'll put it together. I was just asking you about the song, and then we'll put it together with your performance later.
Yeah, so that's the story of Never Ending Love Song. And I will say the song will end with the love will never cease.
Oh, that's beautiful. All right. Well, this is Cornbread Harris here on Sounds Like Home.
never-ending love song.
That's Cornbread Harris performing here on Sounds Like Home. I'm Andrea Swensson. Cornbread, I'm so excited to be chatting with you and to find out that you've been vaccinated and that you're doing well despite all of the challenges of this past year. And, you know, something that is so amazing to me is that you've continued to perform so regularly. And you celebrated your 93rd and a half birthday. And what was it like for you to go through this year where we couldn't, you know, have live performances? What have you been up to and how's it been for you?
It has been amazing. Ever since I became what people like to call Christian, I haven't had any things that really disturb me anymore, because I don't mean to be a preacher. I am a deacon, though, but everything that I have gained has been because of God. And so long as I keep blaming it on Him, all my good luck, and, you know, it's not luck, it's a blessing. So I just can't get used to this delay over here. But other than that, I am a blessed dude. So you ask anybody that knows me well, ask them, is Cornbread a blessed dude? They will emphatically say, yes, he is.
Oh. Well, I'm wondering, you know, this year has been so unusual and challenging, but you've already lived through so much in your life. I mean, have you ever been through a period in history before that reminds you of, you know, this pandemic and all of the things that have been going on in the last year?
I think I have put the bad things as a study in life and learn lessons from, and I put the good things in a big bag that I can't hardly get nothing else in. I'm going to have to get another bag. And I keep referring back to my bag with all the good stuff and forgetting about the measles and the mumps and the whooping cough and all that. I know, I remember that they existed, but I don't, my sufferings that I have had, I don't keep suffering them anymore.
Well, that is probably very good advice for people now that, you know, this will pass and things will get better. And I'm just so inspired that you're able to stay focused on the positive things and have that big bag of good feelings, as you said. Do you think that's one of your secrets for how you've, you know, managed to make music for so many years and continue to be inspired?
It's my secret, but I want to blab it all over, so it's not a secret anymore. I would like everybody to understand that if you think of the lovely things in life more, or even only if you can get that far, you're going to be a better feeling person. You're going to be able to get along better with everybody, and particularly get along better with yourself.
Right on. Well, we're going to listen to some more music, and then I have some more questions for you. So the next song is called Blue, Blue, Blue. Is there anything that you want to tell us about this one?
Blue, Blue, Blue is my own personal song, again, that I'm not going to keep it personal. I'll play it for anybody, anytime. Rather than to give it a name other than blues would be a misnomer, because I never know how I'm going to express myself about the blues at that particular time.
All right, this is Cornbread Harris performing Blue, Blue, Blue here on Sounds Like Home. That is Cornbread Harris performing his original song, Blue, 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 here on Sounds Like Home. Cornbread, the last couple records that you put out were both recorded live at the Hook and Ladder Theater. I was wondering if you could tell me, what do you love about performing there and what made you want to capture these live albums in that space?
My favorite place used to be Loring Pasta Bar. And then I lucked out by going to Hook and Ladder. And I remember it was called a different thing before that. But I'll leave it up to you historians to know what that is. Once I got to Hook and Ladder, the personality of the people that ran the place was a personality of, we are here to help you. That's their top part of their personality. And we'll see, and they work at it too. They don't just talk. And so I am my new thing, a place to play out of all the places in the world is Hook and Ladder. And I hope to get to do that this spring or summer. I think they're working on it. This is another thing I tell people. I am hell on wheels. Can I say hell? Okay. I am hell on wheels when a lot of people are helping me. I mean, I become dangerous with a lot of people helping me. Well, Cornbread, how can you do this? How can you do that? I said, I'm not doing anything. They call me up and say, be there. I said, okay. And then when I get there, they say, play the music. I play the music, and then I go home, and then the calls start coming in. Oh, that was wonderful. Oh, we enjoyed that. Oh, the lighting was so good. Oh, the stage was so... man, all I did was hit a note. And so that's part of my. Remember, I told you about the bags of blessings. That stuff is in the bag.
Oh, I love that. Well, when I watch you perform and even listening to the live album, it just comes across that you have so much joy in what you do that it just makes you feel so happy to perform for people. And I'm wondering, if we were in your mind as you're performing there on stage, what are you feeling and what are you thinking as you're playing in front of people?
I'm playing out into the atmosphere in the ozone. And I am hoping that the people in that atmosphere are picking up on what I'm doing, and I'm trying to please them, and I want them to enjoy what I'm doing. And it's such a wonderful thing when they come back and tell me, oh, Cornbread, that was so nice. Well, all I can do is say thank you. But it gets down deep in my soul, thank you. It ain't just a run off at the mouth thing.
Yeah. So we were talking earlier about, your positive attitude and what keeps you going. But I'm wondering, for musicians that are maybe in the earlier parts of their career, do you have any advice or something that you would say to a younger musician about pursuing this kind of life in music?
Pursue the music, whatever it is you think you would like to do, pursue doing it. If you have to practice, rehearse, be in the room all by yourself for a long time, just playing, think music, listen to music with a critical ear, all kinds of music. If you have music in your soul, try to figure a way to let it out so it can be heard. I can't announce it any better way than if it's something you like, work at it.
That is great, great advice. What have you been listening to lately?
Roy Rogers, uh, Lone Ranger, the Barn Dance, some opera, not very much. Spirituals. One of the things on the spiritual is it's Negro Month or something. I don't know what it is, but anyway, it's supposed to be for the colored people. Well, what colored people? Oh, I don't. What is it?
Black History Month.
Thank you. Anyway, I'm living in Black History Month, so I'm listening to a lot of spiritual stuff, and that's really a lot of that is where the blues come from, the spiritual stuff. So that's why I try to, if I get the chance to teach anybody, I said, I don't mind you playing the notes very correctly, but see if you can put some feeling into the notes that you're doing correctly.
Well, I think that leads us very well into this last song that you wanted to play. I remember very vividly you playing this song in the studio when you came to visit me and Tom Weber, and I think you were trying to get us to sing along too, and we were a little shy. Put the World Back Together. I mean, this song is just so beautiful, and it feels so timely for everything that we're going through at this moment. The country, it feels very divided and divisive, and the song just has such a beautiful healing message. Is there anything to wrap up today that you want people to know about where this song came from and your message to the world?
Okay, my message to the world is an eternal message. Put the world back together. Not Minneapolis, not St. Paul, not Minnesota, not the United States, but Russia, Italy, the Kremlin, you name one of the 154 countries. They all have to be together. This is one globe here. We all live on this one globe. And if we can't get along on this one globe, we are inviting trouble. To do that commandment I said earlier, with just the two parts, is the advice for the world. And so I want this song to go out to the people, everybody in all 500 and 100 or 50 some whatever places in their own language. I want everybody to be able to sing this song. They don't need to say, "Oh, Cornbread wrote this." They don't need to say that. They don't need none of that. They don't need to, I know that, it'd be nice if you could commercialize it. No, I'm not doing this for commerce. I'm doing this for the betterment of humanity. So I don't,
That's beautiful. Cornbread, it's always so wonderful to talk to you. I'm just so grateful that you can do this, that we're able to navigate, technology and all of these video chats and everything to still find out how you're doing and how you've been. Thank you so much for taking part in our series and performing these songs for us as well. And I just hope that you stay safe and that we can all be back together again soon.
Haven't we had enough debate? I hear someone say let's wait. Let's get together before it's too late to put the world back together. Put the world back together. Put the world back together again. Right in the country sounds insane. Smell your polluted water, feel your acid rain. Cut down your forest and you don't plant them back again. I said, put the world back together. Put the world back together. Put the world back together again. Politicians are talking fear and hate. Let's have a war, blow everybody away. That's really stupid. Listen to me when I say, put the world back together. Put the world back together. Put the world back together again. Haven't we had enough debate? Hear somebody say let's wait. Why don't we get together before it's way too late to put the world back together? Put the world back together. Put the world back together again. Right in the country sounds insane. Smell your polluted water, feel your acid rain. Cut down your forest and you don't plant them back again. I said put the world back together. Put the world back together. Put the world back together again. Politicians are talking fear and hate. Let's have a war, blow them all away. It's really stupid. Listen to me when I say, put the world back together. Put the world back together. Put the world back together again. Put the world back together, everybody. Back together. Put the world back together. Put the world back together again. Many times as you want to sing it, just all right with me. Put the world back together. Put the world back together. to be playing no music for you to sing this here. Put the world back together. Put the world back together. Put the world back together again. Oh yeah, go ahead, sing. Put the world back together.
Thanks for tuning in to Sounds Like Home, a virtual festival celebrating Minnesota music. Sounds Like Home and the artists performing during the festival is sponsored by Gardner Builders and made possible by Minnesota Legacy Amendment and you. Your support keeps the current strong and makes sure that independent music and the emerging artists featured today always have a home on the Current. All Sounds Like Home sessions will be archived at thecurrent.org because great music lives here.